What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. I'm your host, as always, Evil Eddie, and I have a very special guest with us here today. Joining us, we got John Gunther from Ultimate Fighter Season 27. What's going on, John? How you doing?
Hey, I feel special. Not much.
So listen, man, you got your first Octagon win. One of the first questions that I'm really interested in asking that I heard you kind of discuss was, you were in the Ultimate Fighter, you got to fight in the Octagon inside the UFC gym. What was the biggest difference between that Octagon and the actual Octagon at the Pearl?
Shoot, I almost don't want to say because obviously the canvas is really grippy and stuff, but it just it it it's it's a big difference between like a lot of the octagons that most gyms have. It kind of messes me up a little bit, but I'm gonna figure a way around it. I don't even want to say because it kind of messes my game up a bit.
So what do you think was the size of that one compared to the other one? Are they the same size as the one in the TUF gym, or is the...
Yeah, the size was the same.
So a big thing about you, man, is everyone talks about your mustache. One of the listeners here just asked you a question, says, "What's up with the 1920s mustache?" I think that's something that really defines you as a character. A lot of people like that. And you remind me, man, of Daniel Day-Lewis from Gangs in New York. Where did this come from? What inspired you to grow this mustache you got?
I just had a friend that he had a mustache, and I can't grow a beard because my hair is too sparse. It doesn't grow on my chin. So I thought, well, maybe I can grow a mustache. So I kept working at it. It's still pretty pathetic, but once I grew it, I was like, shoot, there's so many benefits. Like I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and there's like people driving this pedal-powered bar down the road, and they all stood up and cheered, and guys let me through toll roads for free. Before I had the mustache, like every time I got pulled over, the cops would always give me like the worst ticket I could get, and now that I've actually been let go sometimes, so I feel like I can't get rid of it now.
You're living the life of like a hot blonde girl, man.
Yeah, I didn't realize like having a mustache has so many benefits. So
oh my God.
I'm stuck with it, even though it's pathetic.
And you don't even have to show any cleavage either.
No, yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. So another fan question here that people are noticing about you from the season is the llama thing. You shear llamas. Does that help with your wrestling game? Wicked Asked by Wicked Ways 1972.
Yeah, I assume it does. Actually, my wrestling helped with my llama shearing because I kind of had to figure out how to take these things down. But I don't know. I don't know if it really does or not, but it kind of gives you a little confidence if you can take this giant animal down, you know?
It's intimidating, man, hearing those things scream the way they do. And you did a pretty on-point impression of it on the show. That was hilarious.
Thank you.
When was the first time you did that? Was it like nerve-wracking? Because I could only imagine, like you're young right now. So when was the first time you did it? How old were you? And were you nervous?
Yeah, I was 17, and I had shorn sheep. So the way you shear a sheep, you'll like tip it over on its butt, and you just kind of set it upright. And they're real wrinkly, so you're constantly like stretching the skin so you don't cut them. And so I just shore an alpaca like that. I just rolled it over and tried to shear it like that. It was ridiculous because like I'm wrapping its neck around me, and its neck's like 4 feet long, so I can't wrap it around myself. It's just silly.
It's got to be so awkward to do that and also hear them screaming the way they do. You got to be like a little deaf after a while. Like, do the neighbors get concerned, or they know what you're up to over there?
Oh yeah, it's a little scary. It's like, oh no, are the neighbors like gonna call the cops or something? Not all of them will scream. It's just like everyone, like, some of them just sit there. They don't even care.
That's true.
They're totally calm. But then every once in a while you get one. Usually it's the males, because it's kind of like a warning call to let the other ones know, hey, there's danger. So one of them starts screaming, and then they all kind of start going.
So obviously you were one of the favorites for Team Stipe going in there against Joe Giannetti. Your first impression when you got there, did you know any of the other guys that were there?
No, I didn't know any of these guys. I don't know. All the guys in the house like kind of knew each other. I don't know. Maybe they're like bigger MMA fans than I am, but I didn't have any idea who it was going to be or who these guys were going to be. Because whenever they told us at the tryouts, there was like, I don't know, like 20 guys or something. They're like, oh, you're all in. And I'm like, well, how's that going to work? Are we going to fight to get in the house? Or, but they said like X amount of people are just going to fail drug tests or drop out for whatever reason. And I guess it ended up happening. So, but I had no idea who actually I was going to be going up against. So.
And you, alongside Jay Cuccinello, you got your second opportunity with Dana White. Was that also nerve-wracking? I mean, that's like asking a girl at the prom almost.
Yeah, like I didn't know. I mean, I was just praying that I would get a chance to kind of redeem myself after that first performance, and so I didn't. They just called me in the room and they told me I was in. So
I could see the look on your face too. You were like, oh yeah, it is on. So then you actually got to even get inside the actual octagon, man. You had a pretty good season, even though you lost 2 of the fights. I mean, there were a lot of people on social media that were talking about. A lot of people were really upset about that very first fight. So let's back up really quick and talk about that. I mean, it happened so quick, and it was like you were ready to go right after that fight ended. You were like, what do you mean? I want to fight more. Like that must have been so frustrating.
Yeah, I've never had like a fight like that where it just like I didn't even know like I started fighting. Everything was going my way. I pinned him up against the cage. I was taking him down. I thought it was all going great. And then all of a sudden, like, I look up and Stipe is looking down at me and I see the ceiling. I'm like, oh no, this can't be good. But I was like a little unsure because, you know, like when you pass out, you're kind of, you have like, you'll dream a little bit, you know, so you don't know, hey, was I just like imagining we started? Did we not start yet? I was kind of hoping like maybe we hadn't started fighting yet. I was ready to go. It stunk.
So once that moment happened, was it kind of set on everyone's mind that Joe was a pretty serious contender for this season?
I don't know. I mean, because nobody knew who I was. Nobody. I think people just thought I sucked at grappling. I don't know. It just stunk. Like I wish I could have at least done something. You know, I have a bad habit. I stick my head in that spot. If you watch any of my fights, you know, let them pull on that guillotine. They never get me. But
well, you've been really good. You know, like
he's got this thin arms, and he's maybe got a little height. I don't know. Just a weird little angle, and I'm out.
Well, moving forward, I mean, the fight that you just recently won inside the octagon under the big lights for the UFC, you were able to escape some pretty serious positions. You were dominating the entire fight against Zuniga, who has a like 13-0 record, now 13-1. Was that something that you were really working on in this camp? Was, you know, making sure you can stay away from, you know, quick submissions and stuff like that? Because it definitely showed in your game.
Not really. No, I was just I was working on it in my my fight against shoot, I can't remember his name now. My second fight, I was super paranoid about that choke, and like even when he locked in a little bit, I just bailed and like I laid on my back. You know, I was like, no, I'm not getting choked again. But Zuniga, like I do, like, I'm super confident sticking I'm not afraid of that choke, because I'm really actually hard to choke generally, but for whatever reason, like, he just sunk it. It was over.
I mean, they were showing some images and some clips from one of your older fights where you had a really bad cut and you were able to come back and win the fight violently. So you've definitely been through some things, and everybody on the season was undefeated. So did you see any egos going in there? And what do you think the difference between ego and confidence really is?
I don't know. I think if you're confident, that's just something, inside of you that you know, but it's maybe perceived as egotistical if you express it to the world.
So, like with Dulani, man, going into his fight, did you guys, believe the hype that he was putting up there, or like, did you guys, take notes from like what he was doing? What was the vibe with Dulani? We had him on a couple of days ago, man, and he was a very interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah, everyone. I mean, we all kind of liked him. He's a funny guy. He's a fun guy, but he thinks he has to kind of, hype things up and cause that drama. I don't know if that's true, but he believes it. So, and it seems to be working for him. I mean, look at it. Look at all the followers and stuff he has. But I don't know. I mean, it's interesting.
As we get towards the end of this interview here, I got two more questions for you, two very important questions. Who did you become most close with on the season of Ultimate Fighter? Was it, one of the coaches? Was it one of your teammates? Who did you really get a bond with here?
I don't know. I'm not like a real personable person. I just like if I could just like crawl off by myself in the corner of the gym and just practice moves on a grappling dummy, I would be happy. or I would be perfectly happy just living out in the wilderness. But I like Dulani. I liked Jay Cuccinelli. Was trying to teach me how to cook and failing, but yeah, I'm just not real personable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you because, like, at the age that we're at here, I mean, I have more animals than I do friends at this point. I mean, I honestly just love the feeling I get when I'm around animals. Just very comforting, and you don't got to worry about anybody stabbing you in the back or talking shit about you or making you feel some type of way. So I'm definitely on your page there. And really quick, to end that question before we go on to the next one, you were just bringing up that, you'd rather live in the wilderness. We saw that this season. You were living in your van. You have a very big family. When did you decide to do that? Just kind of break away from, kind of not reality, but kind of break away onto your own terms.
I just, I mean, I was going to school in Mansfield, so I just kind of like, I don't know. Everyone's got to have a hobby, so my hobby is just trying to see how cheaply I can live.
Yeah.
So I just always like tried to penny pinch. So when I was going to like a community college, and I just started living somewhere else. I would just live out of my van.
So last but not least, it wouldn't be right if we don't ask this. I'll probably get yelled at if I don't. The main event, Stipe Miocic versus DC. How did you see that fight going in there? We know that, you're pretty close with Stipe. Were you surprised that DC was able to get the knockout when he did?
I was. I thought it was going to go kind of how it was going. Like, Stipe was kind of piecing him up on the feet, and he was able to take him down. And then all of a sudden, like, he just hits that,
that nice uppercut
punch and just catches him. It's those ones you don't see. I don't know, like Cormier, he's so lucky. He won that ice skating ring challenge too, and he could not even stand up. I think he just was like blessed by a shaman or something. It's really remarkable.
We had Rosendo on to talk about that too. He was like, Stipe's from Ohio. I mean, there's no way that DC's ever even been on an ice rink. We were surprised that he won that fight. It kind of felt like the tension, like that was the pre-title fight. Like it was tense in there, huh?
It's amazing. Like he somehow he just fell and he'd land on that puck every time. It's incredible. I don't know.
Definitely a really fun season. Before we let you go, what did you think about the Brock Lesnar entering the octagon at the end? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I know it pissed some people off, but they got sell fights. I don't know. It's interesting to me, but I don't know how's he going to get that fight if he's still under suspension. You know, I don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, hopefully they give Stipe that rematch.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing like Stipe versus Curtis Blades or something like that. That wouldn't bother me at all. But Stipe, man, the way he's been able to defend the title as many times as he has, I would love to see him get an immediate rematch. But it doesn't seem that's the way it's going to be going. And obviously, you train at Stipe's gym, or what's the 411 on that? Are you still over there?
Yeah, I train at Strong Style in Cleveland, and so. He's not coaching me. We have our own coaches.
And congratulations, he just had his little baby a couple days ago here.
Little girl. Yeah.
So big things, man. You had an amazing, successful year. You finally got your first win inside the octagon. You're still undefeated as well because the losses in the preliminary rounds of Ultimate Fighter did not count towards the fighters' records.
Crazy. It's not the way at all I thought it was going to go. I thought I was going to beat everyone. I was going to win the thing. But, hey, it worked out, sort of. So.
And where do you go from here? Where are you going to go from here? Has the UFC reached out? Do you have your eyes set on anything? What's the game plan here for you?
Yeah, I don't know anything 100% sure. I mean, I've been trying to – obviously, I'd love to fight Giannetti again, but I don't know if that's a possibility. Probably not. But, that kind of leaves a bitter taste in my mouth the way that went down. Like, I'd like to at least prove that I feel like I should easily win that fight, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Gunther, thank you so much for joining me here today on Pure Evil MMA. It was truly an honor. We are wishing the best of skill for you moving forward. And last but not least, man, do you listen to music? Like, do you listen to MGK? Because I'm a huge MGK fan. He's always repping the land. Stipe walks out to him. Do you listen to that, or do you listen to? Last question.
I do listen to a little bit, but I not really. Honestly, I listen to audiobooks.
Okay.
I feel like I'm wasting my time if I listen to music. I'm like, I could be learning something. I might as well. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I mostly just listen to audiobooks.
No, I feel that too, man. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and with the audiobooks now, it's just pretty relaxing to just tune into that, especially with what you do out in the wilderness. So we're going to let you plug in if you have any plugs. People find you on Instagram, Facebook. Where can they find you to reach out to you?
Oh, yeah. If you could follow me at John the Machine Gunther on Facebook or at Follow Me on Blind on Instagram, that would be awesome. I get more followers, and hopefully the UFC would like me a little better.
Oh, and shout out to you for arm wrestling Michael Bisping as well, man. That was pretty cool.
Everyone beat me on the season. Michael Bisping kicked my butt in arm wrestling. It was just, after he did that, he cut his elbow on the table. He was bleeding everywhere. It was terrible.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I mean, this was a really fun season. I'm almost sad it's the end of the Ultimate Fighter. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you so much, John, and we wish you best of skill moving forward.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a great day. There you guys go, John Gunther, man. I mean, we've had almost on this entire season of the Ultimate Fighter. You know, I had somebody message me before this interview and say, oh, if I had to guess how this interview is going to go, I give it a 1 out of 10. And I just sat back like, man, have you not heard my interviews before? Do you not realize that I can talk to anyone, interview anyone? John Gunther, man, he's an interesting character. You just need to know how to communicate with people. I went to college for sociology, psychology. Man, like, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing interviews since I was 7 years old. John has a little issues with, talking to people But so does everyone, man. You just got to know how to talk to people. So shame on you, whoever said that out there. But I felt your worry there. I'm sure there was a lot of people like, John Gunther, he's not that good in front of the camera. But that's the magic. That's part of his character that I love about the guy. He looks like a straight assassin. He goes out there, he's shearing alpaca that are screaming bloody murder, and he's just a cool dude. I would love to just watch what he's up to. I'd love for him to put a GoPro on, walk around through his day. He doesn't need to communicate with anybody. I mean, this guy is living a pretty sick life, training at Stipe's gym, just on Ultimate Fighter. I mean, come on. Just made his first UFC appearance. It got the W over Zuniga, who's 13-0. Another guy who liked animals as well. I should have asked him if they connected on the whole animal thing, because Zuniga had like a freaking farm in his backyard there. But guys, John Gunther, live here on Pure Evil MMA. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just wrapping up from last night's lion fight event that went down at Foxwoods Casino. That was an absolute blast. I did the recap show with Nick Portella, straight from Pure Evil MMA family here, nickportello.com, I believe. Brian Gerson and also Kobe, the Prodigy Nailer, helped us for Pure Evil MMA last night, fighting out of Gabriel Gonzaga's gym, G Squared. So a big shout out to Kobe. He's been helping me for the past couple of years, ringside, covering some events, has some great insight, is very useful helping plug in some very interesting tweets that get down to the technical side of a lot of the fights that's going on. I'm about to upload the in-between show of like all the highlights of during Lion Fight 45. So check that out here on Pure Evil MMA. Also, Gloves Off with James McSweeney, episode 3 is up, where we talked about Big Brown versus Dana White. We spoke about Mike Swick giving somebody a videography job, and James wasn't too happy about that. He put a warning label across Mike Swick. Matter of fact, he roasts Mike Swick on this latest episode of Gloves Off, episode 3. Episode 4 is coming Monday night, so you don't want to miss it. Ultimate Fighter Season 10, first pick, James McSweeney. He is the host. I'm the co-host, or we both kind of host the show, I guess. I guess I'm the host, he's the co-host, but he's the star, obviously, and we are breaking records for Pure Evil MMA. We were trending popular on iTunes the last couple of weeks since we started the podcast. So big thank you for any of our new listeners, new followers. Make sure you guys subscribe down below. Hit that like button, because you know what they say. They say giving makes you feel better inside. So give me a thumbs up and you'll feel a little bit better. We can work something out here. I give you some good content. You give me the thumbs up. We're rubbing each other's back. Guys, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, mymmanews.com. Remember, without evil, there's no purity. White knuckles, till the end. Behave yourselves.